Are toxic people draining your energy, making you doubt yourself? You've tried setting boundaries, avoiding them, even cutting them off, but they keep showing up, don't they? Here's the truth. You're not doing it wrong. You're just missing the smartest way to outsmart them. Meet Sarah, a 29-year-old marketing assistant who felt trapped by her toxic co-worker, Lisa. Every day, Lisa's snide comments and manipulative games left Sarah second-guessing her worth, stealing her confidence. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Carl Jung, the legendary psychologist, taught us that toxic people don't just test your patience, they reveal your shadow, the hidden parts of yourself that hold the key to your freedom. In this video, we'll uncover Carl Jung's wisdom to help you not just survive toxic people, but thrive beyond their reach. From recognizing their tactics to mastering your authentic self, we'll explore 5 powerful steps to protect your energy and reclaim your power. Stay with us until the end, because you'll discover how to become so unshakable that toxic people lose their grip on you forever. Let's dive into this journey of personal growth and emotional healing. Have you ever felt like toxic people have a knack for getting under your skin? No matter how hard you try to stay calm, it's as if they know exactly what to say to make you doubt yourself, to drain your energy, to pull you into their chaos. But what if they're not just random villains in your story? What if, as Carl Jung suggests, toxic people are mirrors, reflecting your shadow, the hidden parts of yourself you've yet to face? In this chapter, we'll uncover why toxic people seem to find you, how they trigger your deepest insecurities, and how Carl Jung's wisdom can help you take back your power. This isn't about fighting them. It's about understanding yourself to become untouchable. Let's dive into this journey of self-discovery and emotional healing. Meet Jake, a 32-year-old graphic designer who thought he'd finally found his dream job. But his boss, Karen, was a textbook toxic person. She'd criticize his work in front of the team, dismiss his ideas, and guilt-trip him into staying late, saying, "If you really cared about this project, you'd do more." Jake felt trapped, his confidence crumbling with every jab. He wondered, why does this keep happening to me? Carl Jung would say it's no accident. Toxic people don't just show up, they're drawn to you through what Carl Jung called synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that reveal something about your inner world. Karen wasn't just a bad boss. She was a mirror reflecting Jake's shadow, the part of him that feared he wasn't good enough, a belief rooted in his childhood with a critical father. Carl Jung taught that the shadow is the unconscious part of your psyche, your fears, insecurities, or traits you've buried because they feel shameful. Maybe it's the fear of rejection, the need to please, or the anger you suppress to seem nice. Toxic people, like Karen, have a way of triggering these hidden wounds. They poke at your insecurities, not because they're psychic, but because your unhealed parts are like magnets, attracting people who reflect what you haven't faced. Jake's fear of failure made him an easy target for Karen's criticism. Every time she belittled him, it wasn't just her words, it was his own inner voice echoing, "You're not enough." This is why toxic people feel so powerful. They amplify the doubts you already carry. But here's the game changer. Toxic people have no real power over you. As the original video powerfully stated, they don't have control over your life unless you let them into your mind. Their weapon is your reaction, your anger, your self-doubt, your need to prove yourself. Carl Jung would agree, adding that these reactions come from your shadow responding to their provocations. When Jake snapped back at Karen or stayed late to win her approval, he was feeding her control, letting her chaos dictate his emotions. The moment you react, you hand them the keys to your inner peace. But when you stop, You take those keys back. Let's look at another story. Mia, a 27-year-old teacher, had a friend, Emma, who always played the victim. Emma would call Mia at all hours, unloading her problems and guilt-tripping her if she wasn't available. "You're the only one who gets me," Emma would say, leaving Mia feeling drained and obligated. Mia didn't realize it, but Emma was triggering her shadow, a deep-seated need to be needed. Rooted in her childhood role as the family peacemaker, Carl Jung's concept of projection explains this. Mia projected her need for validation onto Emma, seeing her as someone she had to save to feel worthy. But Emma's toxicity thrived on Mia's willingness to play that role. Carl Jung believed that toxic people enter your life for a reason, not to destroy you, but to show you where you need to grow. Through synchronicity, the universe brings these challenges to push you toward individuation. The process of becoming whole by integrating your shadow. For Jake, Karen's criticism was a chance to face his fear of failure. For Mia, Emma's demands were a call to release her need to please. The first step to outsmarting toxic people is recognizing they're not the problem, you are. But not in the way you think. It's not about blaming yourself. It's about seeing how your unhealed wounds make you vulnerable to their tactics. So, how do you start? Begin by asking yourself, what do toxic people trigger in me? Is it anger, guilt, or a need to prove yourself? Write down a moment when someone toxic got under your skin. Maybe it's a co-worker's snarky comment or a family member's manipulation. Now ask, what does this say about me? For Jake, Karen's criticism stirred his fear of not being good enough. For Mia, Emma's demands echoed her need to feel valued. This simple act of self-awareness, as Carl Jung taught, shines a light on your shadow, helping you see what's drawing these people to you. Here's a truth to hold on to. Toxic people are powerless without your reaction. As the original video said, the moment you stop reacting, you become untouchable. Carl Jung takes this deeper when you face your shadow. You stop projecting your wounds onto others, and their toxicity loses its grip. Imagine Jake calmly nodding at Karen's criticism, refusing to let it shake him, or Mia setting boundaries with Emma, saying, "I can't talk now," without guilt. These acts don't just disarm toxic people, they free you to live from your authentic self. Pause and reflect. Who's the toxic person in your life right now? What buttons are they pushing? Share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe write, "I'm starting to see my shadow." Your honesty might inspire someone else watching. In the next chapter, we'll dive into how to spot toxic behaviors and protect your energy without losing yourself. Stay with us. This journey to personal growth and emotional healing is just getting started. Ever wonder why toxic people seem to know exactly how to push your buttons? One snarky comment, one guilt trip, and suddenly you're spiraling, angry, drained, or doubting yourself. It's not random. Toxic behaviors are designed to hook into your unconscious, triggering reactions that keep you trapped in their chaos. In this chapter, we'll uncover how to spot toxic behaviors, understand their hidden impact on your psyche, and use Carl Jung's wisdom to break free from their grip. By recognizing these patterns, you'll take the first step toward protecting your authentic self and reclaiming your inner peace. Let's dive deeper into this journey of personal growth and emotional healing. Meet Mia, the teacher we met last chapter, whose friend Emma always played the victim. Emma would text Mia late at night, unloading endless complaints. "You're the only one I can trust." If Mia didn't respond, Emma would lash out, saying, "I guess you don't care about me." Mia felt trapped, her energy drained by guilt and obligation. This is a classic toxic behavior, manipulation through guilt. Toxic people use specific tactics: criticism, control, or playing the victim to pull you into their emotional web. Carl Jung would say these behaviors aren't just annoying, they're triggers that hook into your shadow, the unconscious fears or wounds you carry. Like Mia's need to feel needed. Let's break down the most common toxic behaviors. First, there's constant criticism, like Jake's boss Karen, who belittled his work to make him feel small. This isn't just about feedback, it's about control, designed to chip away at your confidence. Then there's gaslighting, where someone twists reality to make you doubt yourself. Imagine a friend saying, "You're too sensitive. I didn't mean it that way," when they clearly insulted you. Another tactic is playing the victim, like Emma, who used her pain to demand Mia's attention. Finally, there's emotional blackmail, where toxic people use guilt or threats to get what they want, like a family member saying, "If you loved me, you'd do this." These behaviors aren't random, they're calculated to provoke a reaction. Carl Jung's concept of projection explains why these tactics hit so hard. Toxic people project their own insecurities onto you, and if you're not aware, you absorb them. When Emma guilt-tripped Mia, she was projecting her fear of abandonment. Mia, unaware of her own shadow, a need to be valued, took the bait, feeling obligated to fix Emma's pain. Similarly, Karen's criticism of Jake mirrored her own fear of inadequacy, but it triggered Jake's unconscious belief that he wasn't good enough. As Carl Jung taught, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Toxic behaviors are like mirrors, showing you where your wounds lie. The unconscious impact of these behaviors is profound. Each manipulation drains your energy, leaving you questioning your worth. Mia spent sleepless nights worrying about Emma's texts, her self-esteem eroding. Jake started avoiding creative risks at work, fearing Karen's next critique. These aren't just emotional reactions, they're signs that toxic people are hijacking your psyche. Carl Jung's idea of the unconscious triggers suggests that these interactions tap into old wounds, like childhood fears of rejection or failure. The original video nailed it. They feed on your frustration, your anger, your confusion. When you react, you give them power, letting their toxicity seep into your mind. So, how do you spot these behaviors before they take hold? Start by noticing patterns. Does someone always leave you feeling drained, guilty, or small? Write down what they do. Maybe it's a coworker's passive-aggressive comments or a partner's constant demands. Next, ask, how does this make me feel? If Mia wrote, "Emma's texts make me feel obligated," she'd see the guilt trip pattern. If Jake noted, "Karen's criticism makes me feel worthless," he'd spot her control tactic. This act of self-awareness, rooted in Carl Jung's teachings, helps you see toxic behaviors for what they are: attempts to exploit your vulnerabilities. Here's a practical step to try. For one day, observe your interactions with a suspected toxic person. Don't react, just notice. What do they say or do? How does it affect you? Journal about it today. My friend made a snarky comment, and I felt angry. Then ask, what does this trigger in me? Maybe it's a fear of not being respected or a need to prove yourself. This exercise, inspired by Carl Jung's active imagination, lets you dialogue with your unconscious, revealing the shadow that toxic people target. By naming these triggers, you weaken their hold, taking the first step toward emotional healing. The original video said it best: they are powerless without your response. Carl Jung takes this further. When you recognize toxic behaviors as projections of their insecurities, not your flaws, you stop absorbing their poison. Imagine Mia calmly reading Emma's texts, without feeling compelled to reply, or Jake brushing off Karen's criticism, knowing it's about her, not him. This shift doesn't just protect your energy, it builds self-love, letting you stand firm in your authentic self. Pause and reflect. What toxic behavior have you noticed in your life? Is it criticism, guilt tripping, or something else? Share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe write, "I'm spotting their tactics." Your insight might spark a breakthrough for someone else watching. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to protect your energy with Carl Jung's approach to setting boundaries that keep toxic people at bay without losing your peace. Stay with us. This journey to personal growth is about to get even more powerful. Have you ever left a conversation with a toxic person feeling completely drained, like they stole a piece of your soul? Their words linger, their negativity clings, and suddenly your day feels heavier. What if you could shield your energy, staying calm and grounded no matter what they throw at you? In this chapter, we'll explore how to protect your inner peace using Carl Jung's approach to self-awareness and psychological boundaries. Toxic people thrive on your reactions, but by setting clear boundaries rooted in your authentic self, you can stop their chaos from invading your world. Let's dive into this step of personal growth and emotional healing to make you untouchable. Meet Daniel, a 35-year-old accountant who struggled with his overbearing sister, Claire. Every family gathering, Claire would demand his time, criticize his life choices, and guilt-trip him into solving her problems. "You're so selfish if you don't help me," she'd say, leaving Daniel exhausted and resentful. He tried arguing back, but it only fueled her drama. Carl Jung's wisdom offers a better way: psychological boundaries, invisible shields that protect your energy without cutting people off. For Daniel, this meant learning to say no calmly, without guilt, preserving his inner peace while keeping Claire at a distance. Carl Jung taught that toxic people exploit your unhealed wounds, hooking into your shadow, the fears or insecurities you haven't faced. But through self-awareness, you can build boundaries that protect your psyche. A psychological boundary isn't just saying no, it's an internal stance, a commitment to your authentic self that says, "My energy is mine to guard." The original video hit the nail on the head. Your peace is your power. When you react to toxic people arguing, explaining, or getting upset, you open the door to their influence. But when you set boundaries, you close that door, keeping your energy safe. Let's break it down. A psychological boundary starts with self-awareness. Notice how a toxic person makes you feel. Does their criticism spark anger? Does their guilt-tripping make you feel obligated? For Daniel, Claire's demands triggered a childhood fear of being seen as selfish. This awareness is key. It shows you where your shadow lies, so you can protect it. Next, decide what you'll allow. Daniel chose not to engage in Claire's drama, calmly saying, "I can't help right now, but I wish you the best." This wasn't cold. It was a boundary that honored his self-love. Here's another story. Emily, a 28-year-old nurse, worked with a toxic colleague, Tom, who constantly belittled her in front of patients. "You're too slow," he'd snap, making her feel incompetent. Emily used to stay silent, fearing conflict, but this drained her confidence. Carl Jung's concept of individuation, becoming whole by integrating your shadow, inspired her to set a boundary. She started calmly asserting herself, "I'm doing my best, and I'd appreciate constructive feedback." This simple act shifted the dynamic. Tom, sensing her strength, backed off. Emily wasn't fighting. She was protecting her energy, rooted in self-awareness. Setting boundaries doesn't mean building walls or cutting people off. as the original video suggested, avoiding. It's about choosing what enters your mental space. Carl Jung believed that your psyche is like a sacred garden. You decide who gets to walk in it. Toxic people, like Claire or Tom, want to trample your garden, but boundaries keep them out. They might escalate. As the original video noted, they insult you harder. They play dirtier. But that's when you stay firm, refusing to let their chaos take root. Daniel learned to walk away from Claire's guilt trips, focusing on his own peace. Emily stopped internalizing Tom's criticism, knowing it wasn't about her. Here's a practical step to start. For 1 week, practice noticing when a toxic person crosses your boundaries. Maybe it's a friend who demands too much, or a coworker who undermines you. Write down what they do and how it feels. My friend guilt-tripped me, and I felt trapped. Then, set a small boundary. It could be as simple as saying, "I'm not available right now," or staying silent instead of arguing. This exercise, inspired by Carl Jung's focus on self-awareness, helps you see where your energy leaks and how to plug it. Each time you set a boundary, you're saying, "My inner peace matters more than your drama." Another tip, visualize your boundary. Picture a shield around your heart, glowing with the strength of your authentic self. When a toxic person pushes, imagine their words bouncing off that shield. Daniel visualized this when Claire tried to guilt him, reminding himself, "Her words can't touch my peace." This mental practice, rooted in Carl Jung's active imagination, reinforces your boundaries, making you feel grounded and powerful. It's not about ignoring toxic people, it's about choosing not to absorb their poison. The original video said it perfectly. The strongest person in the room isn't the one yelling. It's the one who stays calm. Carl Jung would add that this calm comes from knowing your shadow and protecting your energy. When Daniel set boundaries with Claire, he wasn't just saying no, he was choosing self-love over obligation. When Emily stood up to Tom, she wasn't fighting, she was guarding her inner peace. These acts don't just disarm toxic people, they build a foundation for personal growth. Pause and reflect. Where do you need to set a boundary in your life? Is it with a friend, a family member, or a coworker? Share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe write, "I'm ready to protect my energy." Your courage could inspire someone else watching. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to integrate your shadow to become so unshakable that toxic people can't touch you. Stay with us. This journey to emotional healing is getting stronger. What if the key to outsmarting toxic people isn't just setting boundaries, but becoming someone their chaos can't touch? You've learned to spot their tactics and protect your energy. But there's a deeper step, facing the parts of yourself that make you vulnerable. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the hidden fears, insecurities, or wounds you've buried. In this chapter, we'll explore how integrating your shadow through Carl Jung's process of individuation makes you unshakable, turning toxic people's drama into background noise. This isn't about fighting them, it's about transforming yourself into your authentic self, so their negativity bounces off you. Let's dive into this journey of personal growth and emotional healing. Meet Anna, a 30-year-old writer who felt trapped by her toxic friend, Laura. Laura would subtly undermine Anna's success, saying things like, "Wow, you're lucky to get published. I could never do that." Anna would smile, but inside, she felt small, doubting her talent. Why did Laura's words sting so much? Carl Jung would say Laura was triggering Anna's shadow, a deep fear of not being good enough. Rooted in childhood, when her parents dismissed her creative dreams, toxic people, like Laura, don't just attack you, they hook into your unhealed wounds, amplifying doubts you already carry. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow is the unconscious part of your psyche, parts you've hidden because they feel shameful, like insecurity, anger, or the need to please. When you ignore these parts, they control you, making you an easy target for toxic people. Anna's fear of inadequacy made her vulnerable to Laura's subtle jabs. As the original video said, toxic people feed on your frustration, your anger, your confusion. But Carl Jung takes it further. They feed on your shadow. When Anna tried to prove her worth to Laura, she was reacting to her own inner doubts, not just Laura's words. Integrating your shadow means facing these doubts head-on. So toxic people lose their power. Individuation, Carl Jung's process of becoming whole, is the path to this transformation. It's about embracing every part of yourself, flaws, fears, and all to build an authentic self that's untouchable. For Anna, individuation meant confronting her fear of not being enough. She started journaling, asking, why do Laura's comments hurt? She uncovered a childhood memory of her parents saying, writing won't get you anywhere. This wound fueled her need for external validation, which Laura exploited. By facing this shadow, Anna began to see her worth, not through others' approval, but within herself. Let's look at another story. Mark, a 34-year-old teacher, had a toxic colleague, Sarah, who constantly competed with him, taking credit for his ideas. Mark would get angry, arguing to defend himself, but it only drained him. Carl Jung would say Sarah was triggering Mark's shadow, a fear of being overlooked, tied to growing up in a family where his siblings got all the attention. Through individuation, Mark learned to face this fear. He asked himself, why do I need Sarah's approval? By acknowledging his need to be seen, he stopped reacting to her tactics, calmly letting her take the spotlight while focusing on his own work. Sarah's behavior didn't change, but Mark's peace did. How do you integrate your shadow? Start with self-awareness. Pick a moment when a toxic person got under your skin. Maybe it's a friend's backhanded compliment or a family member's guilt trip. Write it down. When they said X, I felt Y. Then ask, what does this reveal about me? For Anna, Laura's comments revealed her fear of inadequacy. For Mark, Sarah's competition exposed his need to be recognized. This exercise, inspired by Carl Jung's active imagination, helps you uncover the shadow that toxic people target. By naming it, you take away its power. As the original video said, the moment you stop reacting, you become untouchable. Next, embrace your shadow with compassion. It's not about fixing yourself. It's about accepting that your fears are part of your story, not your identity. Anna stopped seeing her insecurity as weakness, and instead, as a sign of her passion for writing. Mark realized his need to be seen was a natural response to his past, not a flaw. This acceptance, Carl Jung taught, is the heart of individuation. It builds self-love, making you less vulnerable to toxic people's games. When Anna stopped seeking Laura's approval, Laura's jabs lost their sting. When Mark let go of needing Sarah's validation, her competition became irrelevant. Here's a practical step. Set aside 10 minutes this week to journal about a toxic person's impact. Write, when name does behavior. I feel emotion. What does this say about my shadow? Then, speak kindly to that part of yourself. Tell your fear of rejection, I see you, and you're okay. This small act of emotional healing shifts your energy, making you stronger. As the original video noted, they choose people who are empathetic, who are kind. Your empathy is your strength. But integrating your shadow ensures toxic people can't exploit it. The beauty of individuation is that it doesn't just protect you, it transforms you. Anna started writing more confidently, no longer needing Laura's praise. Mark focused on his teaching, finding joy in his students' growth, not Sarah's approval. By facing their shadow, they became unshakable, living from their authentic self. Toxic people, as Carl Jung's wisdom shows, are catalysts for growth. They push you to integrate the parts you've hidden so you can stand in your power. Pause and reflect. What part of your shadow is a toxic person triggering? Is it a fear of failure, rejection, or not being enough? Share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe right. I'm facing my shadow. Your honesty could inspire someone else watching. In the next chapter, we'll share practical exercises to live free from toxic energy, building a life of self-love and personal growth. Stay with us. This journey is about to get even more empowering. You've uncovered toxic behaviors, set boundaries, and faced your shadow. Now, it's time to lock in your freedom from toxic people by building a life so vibrant that their negativity can't touch you. Carl Jung's wisdom teaches us that true power isn't about avoiding toxic people. They're everywhere. It's about mastering your inner world to become unshakable. In this chapter, we'll share 3 practical exercises inspired by Carl Jung's teachings to protect your energy, transform pain into strength, and live as your authentic self. These steps will make toxic people irrelevant, letting you soar in personal growth and emotional healing. Let's dive in and make you unstoppable. Meet Rachel, a 29-year-old marketing manager drained by her toxic coworker, Ethan. Ethan would undermine her in meetings, saying, "That idea won't work." With a smirk, Rachel used to snap back, but it only fueled his ego. Inspired by Carl Jung's active imagination, she tried journaling her triggers. Each time Ethan's jabs hurt, she wrote, "His comment made me feel worthless." Why? This revealed a shadow fear of not being respected, tied to her childhood with a dismissive parent. By naming this fear, Rachel began to release its grip, refusing to let Ethan's words define her. The first exercise, journaling your triggers, helps you pinpoint what toxic people hook into, so you can let it go. Here's how to start. Dedicate 10 minutes daily for a week to journal about a toxic person's impact. Write when, name, does, behavior. I feel emotion. Then ask, what does this say about my shadow? For Rachel, Ethan's criticism exposed her fear of being undervalued. Next, challenge that fear. Is this true? Or is it their projection? This practice, drawn from Carl Jung's focus on self-awareness, lets you dialogue with your unconscious. By naming your triggers, you stop reacting, aligning with the truth that your power lies in your response or lack thereof. Share your journal insights in the comments. Try writing, "I'm uncovering my triggers." Your honesty might spark someone else's breakthrough. The second exercise is practicing non-reaction. Toxic people thrive on your emotional response, craving your anger or frustration to fuel their chaos. Carl Jung's concept of individuation, becoming whole by embracing your shadow, shows that staying calm is a sign of strength, not weakness. Take Sophie, a 33-year-old freelancer who dealt with a toxic client, Greg, who nitpicked her work to feel superior. Instead of arguing, Sophie practiced staying calm. She'd breathe deeply, visualize a shield around her energy, and say, "I'll consider your feedback," without taking it personally. This shifted the dynamic. Greg's provocations fizzled out, Sophie's calm wasn't surrender, it was power, rooted in inner peace. Try this when a toxic person provokes you. Pause. Take 3 slow breaths and picture their words sliding off a shield, guarding your authentic self. Don't argue or defend, just observe their behavior like a scientist. If they criticize, nod calmly. If they guilt trip, say, "I hear you, but I can't take this on." This non-reaction, inspired by Carl Jung's self-mastery, starves toxic people of the drama they need. Practice this for a week and notice how it feels to hold your ground. Share your experience in the comments. Maybe write, "Non-reaction is changing my life." Your story could inspire someone watching. The third exercise is nurturing your inner world. Toxic people want you trapped in their drama. But Carl Jung's Individuation invites you to focus on what makes you thrive. Meet Liam, a 36-year-old teacher who faced a toxic neighbor, Carla, who gossiped about him. Instead of engaging, Liam rediscovered his love for music, playing guitar each evening. He also started jogging, feeling stronger with every step. These acts of self-love weren't just hobbies, they were anchors to his authentic self, making Carla's gossip irrelevant. By building a life of joy, Liam became untouchable, echoing the idea that true strength comes from within. Here's how to do it. Pick one activity this week that ignites your soul, maybe painting, writing, or meditating for 5 minutes. Schedule it like a priority. Carl Jung saw these acts as tapping into your creative energy, a cornerstone of your psyche. Also, care for your body. Eat nourishing food. Rest. Move in ways that feel good. These are acts of self-love that fortify you against toxicity. When you nurture your inner world, you radiate a strength that toxic people can't pierce, fueling your personal growth. These 3 exercises, journaling triggers, practicing non-reaction, and nurturing your inner world, work together to free you from toxic energy. Rachel stopped, letting Ethan's jabs define her. Sophie's calm disarmed Greg's attacks. Liam's music made Carla's gossip fade. As Carl Jung taught, integrating your shadow through individuation makes you whole, rendering toxic people powerless. By living from your authentic self, you turn their chaos into a distant memory, building a life of emotional healing. Pause and reflect. Which exercise will you try first? Journaling, non-reaction, or nurturing your passions? Share your choice in the comments. Maybe write, "I'm starting with music." Your commitment could light a spark for someone else. In our final chapter, we'll wrap up with how to live so fully that toxic people become irrelevant. Using Carl Jung's wisdom to ignite your transformation. Stay with us. This journey is reaching its peak. You've just walked through a transformative journey with Carl Jung's wisdom, learning how to outsmart toxic people by mastering your inner world. From recognizing their tactics as mirrors of your shadow to setting boundaries and integrating your fears through individuation, you now have the tools to protect your inner peace and live as your authentic self. Toxic people only have power if you give it to them, but you've learned to take it back. Let's wrap this up with a story of transformation that will inspire you to step into your strength. Remember Lisa, the graphic designer drained by her toxic roommate, Alex. She used to let his mockery define her worth. But Carl Jung's teachings changed everything. By journaling her triggers, practicing non-reaction, and nurturing her passion for art, Lisa faced her shadow, the fear of not being enough. She stopped reacting to Alex's taunts, calmly saying, "Your opinion doesn't define me." Over time, Alex's words became background noise, and Lisa's confidence soared. She started sharing her artwork online, building a life so full that Alex's negativity couldn't touch her. This is the power of self-love. It makes you untouchable. Just as Carl Jung envisioned, reflect on your own journey. Who's the toxic person in your life? What's one step you'll take to protect your energy? Journaling, staying calm, or nurturing your passions? Share it in the comments. Maybe write, "I'm starting with non-reaction." Your courage could spark someone else's emotional healing. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life." By facing your shadow, you're not just outsmarting toxic people, you're building a life of personal growth and freedom. Don't stop here. Subscribe to Jung Psyche Hub and hit the bell for more insights on self-discovery and transformation. Share this video with someone struggling with toxic people. It might be the wake-up call they need. Let's keep spreading Carl Jung's wisdom together. You are stronger than their chaos, more powerful than their words. Take that first step today and watch how your authentic self transforms your world.